welcome back to the OPL. Week 10, Day 2, Game 6. That's right, it is the last game of the season. It's going to be a big one. It is the Legacy Esports coming up against the Chiefs Esports Club. Nick is still not in the cloud. I don't still know where the cloud is located, but I know that Nick is no longer with the cloudness. So it's me, Rusty, and Skimmy. That was shellacking Rusty that last game. Pentanet really took it to Mammoth there.
Yeah, from what I got to see of that one, Spawn, it was definitely a one-sided affair. The most important thing I saw was a very early Nidalee getting a very early invade and being extremely successful in doing so. So I think once you get leads like that, you are able to generate further advantages. But the thing is, they actually did it. And that's something we haven't seen from a team like Pentanet.gg in a little while.
Yeah, and it was a really impressive performance, so they will round out their OPL split one with a victory. However, guys, I have been handed the Nick bag, which is more of a Nick Hessian sack, to be perfectly honest. Not all that impressed with the quality of the bag, but the quality of the questions are great. This first one is from @JackTheEagle. Please help me through this lockdown. Top 3 shows to binge watch when the OPL is not on, because obviously this takes priority over everything. Skimmy, top 3 binge watchable shows.
Number 1 has to be Tiger King. Absolutely. If you haven't watched that, then you're not doing yourself a good service. Absolute binge-worthy. There's just so much drama. You will forget about all the pain and suffering that's in the world right now that is keeping us all locked down. You will be glued to that bed for good reason. And I think there's like 7 episodes, so it's at least 7 hours of content. That's the go-to one at the moment. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know any other binge-worthy shows. I've been watching a lot of movies recently. I'm not a big TV show man like yourself. I'm much more like, it's 2 hours, it's a movie, it's done. Then I'm back on gaming.
I don't watch TV at all, Skimmy. So I don't know why you said TV man like yourself, because I literally watch 0 shows.
Well, no, I said that I'm not a big TV man like yourself.
Okay. So you're...
Yes,
yeah, okay, I get it now. There was an awkward pause. So what movies are you watching? Give me 2 movies then.
So I just watched Bloodshot, which is the one with Vin Diesel in it, which is kind of a little bit like Riddick, but the...
So like every Vin Diesel movie?
I don't know, it was crazy.
Okay,
because like...
next. Okay, Rusty, binge-worthy shows. What have you got for me?
The first one that came to my mind actually was more of a question for you, because I haven't started watching it yet, but we were at Worlds together a while ago and you wouldn't stop talking about it. That was Peaky Blinders. Is that a binge-worthy one?
Peaky Blinders is an absolute banger. Huge fan. That is number 1 on my list. Peaky Blinders for sure. It's got 4 seasons out, I think, at the moment. Tommy Shelby is an absolute legend. I love that show.
The other things that I was thinking was, at the moment, I've actually not been enjoying a lot of the stuff that I'd say are bingeable. Vikings is high on my list. That actually just got messaged in chat as well as I looked away. And the other one I would actually recommend is Haikyuu, the volleyball sports anime.
Oh, please. Yeah, okay. Next. You've been cut off too.
Just sucks you in, mate. Keeps you going.
Okay, next question coming in from friend of the show, not friend of Mid Lane Creeps, @Rare7, says, how do you get a girlfriend, ? Open bracket, asking for a friend, close bracket, smiley face. Obviously, one person in this chat has a very good idea of how to do this. Rusty, how do you get a girlfriend?
Thank you for that
I like
one,
how he's just
putting me on
thrown
the
him
spot. I mean, that's a very open-ended question. First of all, it's Rare asking. Does he definitely doesn't need help?
He's got the charisma to charm the pants of anyone. He's definitely tamed Spawn. We know that for sure.
My question is, who's the friend, though?
I would assume it's Harry. The boys tease Harry about girls a lot in their house.
So Harry's a lovely person. Like, I feel like his biggest problem would be the first step of finding the person to take on that date, right? So that's where the boys should rally around and actually help him, not tease him.
The real
I think
question...
Rare needs to ask himself, right? What kind of girl is he looking for? Is he looking for a girl to game with, or is he looking for someone to disconnect out of the game with? That is the main question.
I mean, show him your ELO is the answer in both cases, if you're Harry. That's what I would say. In Search of Shoe says, favourite room of the house. Go. Skimmy, favourite room.
The bedroom.
Okay. Can I know why?
Because it has my bed in it, and the bed is the best thing that has ever been made. You can just chill on it. You can chill on it. You can chill on it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Rusty, favourite room of the house.
Bathroom, probably, because you never feel as clean as you do when you're in the bathroom.
Okay.
And I'm not going to answer bedroom. I don't want to take the same answer as Skibby.
I'm a fan of the kitchen. I like cooking. It's one of the few ways I de-stress, and I'm a very stressed person. At Mordred Oath, you have to solve a murder crime mystery. Pick one champion to assist you, one champion that prevents you from investigating in any way they can. Reminder, this question was addressed to me, Nick. I don't know what understands. Oh, to assist Nick. One champion to assist Nick in a murder mystery, and one champion that would prevent Nick from investigating. Skimmy, you've got 20 seconds. Go.
I think we'd give him Ezreal because then it would just throw off Nick. He would just get so angry. And then you'd give him... I'm trying to think up the champions that he's really enjoyed in MPL.
This one's not addressed to Nick. He said it's the following one that's addressed to him.
Okay. The following one was addressed to him. The following one is, how do I deal with how attractive you are? And the answer is you don't. Nick is beautiful. And just being in his mere presence is a cause for celebration. And the fact that the cloud has taken him away from us makes me hate the cloud wherever it is in the sky so much more. Thoughts?
No, I completely agree. The answer to that question is to attack the cloud or his internet because it's clearly working.
Okay.
But yes, definitely missing him.
We're 15 seconds from getting into Champion Select. This is a big one. OPL Classico, Legacy versus the Chiefs. Skimmy, who wins?
Legacy.
Legacy win from Skimmy. Rusty, are you going to even it out? Who wins?
Yeah, right. I'll go Chiefs.
Okay, it's going to be 1-1. I'm also with Legacy. I think they're the best team in the league. However, I think we are ready for the McDonald's Champion Select. So we will be back for the OPL Classico. It's going to be Legacy versus Chiefs. This is for all the marbles. First place up for grabs. We'll see you after this break.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
Well, this is the big one. We could not have written a better script to close out Week 10 for Split 1. Both of these teams, head-to-head, are 1-1. Both of these teams are sitting on 17 wins and 3 losses. And both of these teams are fighting for the first seed going into playoffs next week. Rusty, it is a momentous occasion. It brings to end, really, what we've done all split long. And, well, Carbon's already departed the building. He's taking this very seriously. He's already at the gaming house.
I mean, most definitely this is going to be a big one, Skibby. It's one to get excited for. Who knew that the last game of the OPL split would be the determining factor for who finishes first? And, you know, this is a big deal. It's not just finishing first in a regular season. You skip a whole best of 5 in the playoffs gauntlet. You go to the next round. You're seeded through. That's exactly where you want to be. Less games played, more games spent watching and studying and learning about your opponent. So this is the one to determine who is the best team through the regular season of our OPL split.
Well, let's jump into the business end of the night and see exactly how these bans pan on out. Bear in mind it is still 10.6, so no crazy shenanigans with the likes of Fiddlesticks being reworked just yet. So those crazy ideas will be in the pot, stirring around, bubbling away for next week. Let's see exactly how things come on today. We've seen a lot of Tarek and Calista, refreshingly so perhaps, or maybe abused based on what other regions are doing. But today, with Calista being banned away, we are not going to get that skill check here.
Yeah, Philios also banned away here, Skimmy. So there is one really prolific AD carry still available in the Misfortune, and that's something that the Chiefs would definitely consider as a first pick. The other ban here from Legacy is the Diana, which is something that can be flexed for the Chiefs, and we saw how good Claire is on the champion. Even in a for-fun draft style game, he's just stomping everyone, and Claire is a pretty big game player, if that makes sense. He steps up to the plate when the pressure is on, and usually tends to overperform in those moments. And this is one of those situations, you know, you're against Tally. He's a reliable player. He likes to play the tanks. He plays the top lane champions in mid lane. if ever there was a time to go above and beyond, this is the first step to doing so. Get yourselves that first seed in the OPL.
It's going to be interesting to see the direction that these two drafts go. Date your mind back to how it started off originally and then how it fanned out in the second occasion they played up against each other. You know, we had a all-out brawl in the first one. I believe it was like 50 kills in the end of just crazy. We just want to see exactly what we can do. Very much catering to the ideas of what Chiefs want to do, which is team fight, whereas we believe that Legacy were more about the macro. And then in their second encounter for that one-on-one head-up, they went for a much more composed, protect the Cogmore, bunch of tanks in your face with Tally playing the Cho'Gath and just running amok.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting style clash when both of these teams connect. That first game that you highlighted was Legacy playing the Chiefs game. The second one being a little bit more methodical and slow, was the Chiefs being comfortable playing more of a Legacy style. And that's the thing, you know, Chiefs will always skill check you. If you don't pass that mark, then you lose very hard. But Legacy have very clearly shown that they're capable individual players. Tally's the last one to pass that test as he comes back into the OPL. As so far, the priorities we have to mention in this draft were very different. We spoke about the misfortune perhaps being the one remaining ADC, but it wasn't first picked by the Chiefs. It was picked in the second rotation, and that means that Legacy didn't put priority towards that either. They went for the Syndra, almost Direwolves-esque in that draft, and a priority on the Ornn.
And I find it's very interesting because we're seeing Karma become that determining factor in the sense that it can be flexed to mid or bottom lane as a support. And it is definitely finding a lot of love in enabling a lot of what these ADCs are wanting to do. No doubt about it, Katsuri and Raze, absolutely fantastic, almost best in their roles, if you will, when we talk about a lot of the star-studded members that we have in this region. And ADC is full of them at the moment, so whether or not the Karma is the right priority, we will wait to see, but it's definitely a strong pick in the right hands. And Isles is going to go back to the Bard again, so whilst the Karma wants to engage and chase you, the Bard is fantastic at disengaging as well.
And I haven't DC'd this time when the Bard was picked. We've done it. We're through the draft part where the
We've
Bard
won
is
already,
picked.
mate.
It's actually, so both teams have gone very different styles here. I'm actually looking at this second ban phase to see where Legacy's priorities lie. You know, their coach Ded's a very smart person, may be aware of what the strategy is here from the Chiefs. But I see the Karma with a misfortune and Brawlman. I think that something like a Kindred is always possible as a jungle champion. You know, something else that can be enabled. If it's not that, it's a carry top laner. And that's the thing that makes the Chiefs really hard to track, is Tien and Clara carry players, but so's Croc. And he's got that fantastic Nidalee that has been taken away from him already. We have to see where else they put their priorities towards, because I do think that Kindred then becomes a viable, opportunistic pick.
Nidalee gone, Ezreal gone. Where are they going to go for this one? They're going to ban a tank away as well. This is interesting because we traditionally, as you say, we think that Croc is this carry-style jungler, putting out fantastic performances on an array of different champions, most notably the Graves in recent times, but then did decide to flex into the tanking department, right? And they decide, look, we want to have the only tank, we want the Ornn.
Yeah, actually, I think that they're going to go for maybe a fourth pick Sejuani Legacy if that's the ban that they wanted to take away from Croc, because at the end of the day, Trundle is one of those picks into Sejuani and very good into tanks. Can also lock you down pretty effectively if you're playing something like the Bard, but again, it may not be the way that they choose to go. We have to see how this draft continues to pan out. Note that Jarvan was also taken away from Babip's hands through Chief's ban, so Jungle being pinched a little bit there.
He's been pinched, but the Sejuani priority isn't actually going to come online here. They're going to opt for the Lee Sin, so they want pick potential. They want to absolutely isolate out a member and secure the kill with that. Now, how do Chiefs respond to this fashion? Not only hovering at the Irelia, but the Sejuani just seems too good to give up, especially when paired with the likes of a Braum and the speed-up initiation of the Karma, making it so that the flash isn't necessarily always needing to be used to guarantee that connect. Chiefs have a lot of CC right now. They've been gifted the picks to round out this glacial comp, and they've got plenty of engage.
Yeah, most definitely. Aurelia now rounds out the composition nicely. You've got your Aurelia Sejuani duo. There's a very good synergy to be seen there. And, you know, I do see that Trundle ban, and now I do have question marks raised. They've gone for the Lee Sin. They've given the Sejuani over for free when Trundle's often nicely put into that. We have to look and see what Legacy will go for here as their last remaining champion. It is actually going to be the Renekton here, Skimmy. So they've got flexible solo laners, as is pretty customary for Legacy's drafting. And because they've seen that it is an Aurelia, they're able to choose the matchup that they would prefer, and you would have to imagine that it is on into the Karma however this winds up. You know, they may swap champions back and forth. They may even swap lanes when they load onto the Rift as well. Because that Renekton, while it has a lot of kill threat, especially if the Lee Sin's ganking, it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to actually make that happen. Karma can punish you if it's isolated.
Look at this. We have now got Raze playing the Syndra. Yes, they've still got the heavy bruiser frontline for the protection, but the man is going to be playing an AD carry. He doesn't care if you try and pinch his champion pool. Kalista Ezreal, Aphelios gone, Misfortune taken away. He is going to turn towards Mage, and that opens up the window for Telly now to revert to those top lane bruisers. And it's interesting to see, once again, the sort of shake-up that Telly has brought to this team. Obviously, the experience, the familiarity with the organization, but the ability to say, look, you know, if you want to go the Mage, then I can play this as a comfort. And that's not to say he hasn't been playing the Mages, but it's just opening up all these creative ideas. And in a best-of-one series, I'm really keen to see the execution.
Yeah, Syndra's one of those really interesting picks. When you think of Raze as a player, first of all, you know, there was a stint where Karthus was a bot lane champion, and he was one of the mage players down in bottom lane. Before he was ever an AD carry player, he was a Gragas player or a mid laner as well. So does seem to be quite comfortable when it comes to these mage champions, and it is exciting to see. But you can see it now on your screen. He is against a Braum, he is against a Karma. That Aurelia could eventually end up with something like a Wit's End, though I wouldn't expect it in this game when you look at the top side. It's not going to be the easiest game to be a Syndra in. But if you can make it work, you know, Katsuri is the hot target.
Well, let's kick into it. It is the final game of Split 1 before we enter finals. It's a best of one, and it is the third OPL Classico. Chiefs taking on Legacy, both at 17-3. One-on-one in the heads up. One-on-one in terms of what they're looking to achieve. But only one team can come out as the victor here. Only one team can skip that best of 5. These creative drafts sure to put on a banger.
Yeah, most definitely, Nate. Remember, you've seen these teams play already this weekend. Legacy have stomped anyone they've gone up against, even with fun compositions. Chiefs were challenged. That is a key difference here between both of these teams' forms coming into this game. And the question is raised, were they preparing for just this match? Were they actually preparing for all of those games? Or were they just using mechanics to get those victories? And it doesn't matter in the end because they got here. Winner finishes first. Everything on the line. Drafts are set.
Now, are we going to see any craziness at level 1? Tapoon going to go straight towards the wave. The stun will come out here from Aurelia.
Yeah, he wanted to freeze that wave from the looks of it. If he could catch the minions before Tian got there, then he would have been able to make it push towards him. But actually uses his Q to trade in the wave. And so now he's in this weird position where he's actually just going to be pushing. So if he wanted to freeze, the opposite has happened after Tian starts in lane and hits a nice stun.
And if you look at this composition, I feel like at face value, you'd imagine that Chiefs have the far easier end of the execution side, but Legacy have so much creativity with this composition that there's no denying the mechanics. It's obviously what's got them here, but I'm keen to see how they all come together.
Yeah, for sure. So the reason that he wanted the freeze in top lane here as well is because Lee Sin, Babip is on the other side of the map. So he's now in the least safe position if he can't crash this wave. He's lucky that he can. He'll be able to reset, it's fine. But that was a pretty high risk start for Tapoon where he's able to weather that storm decently well. Now you have to look at the rest of the map. The Lee Sin and the Sejuani have started to farm up, hit those level 3s, look for some places to be active on the map. Mid lane actually a hotbed for potential ganks if you're the Karma looking to lock someone down. Ornn has a lot of crowd control potential, but Karma's hard to hit. And I think all of that actually is just about river control coming towards bot lane. Because right now, this is the place where if you could snowball in any way, it would be a great opportunity to do so. You know, get that Misfortune going, becomes a team fight powerhouse, and you've got a Karma to support that one. You know, if you get the Bard freed in lane by giving the Syndra a kill, a similar thing happens where there's just so much overwhelming presence in the river that Legacy start to build up gold advantages.
It's going to be Croc that goes towards the Scuttle. He's going to get that one as the Vision Sweeper comes out as well. Going to go deep into the jungle to look to see where Babip is. Going to spot topside, but no, he's not there. Gonna spot him at Raptors, but they're gonna decide to go against it. Vision has been achieved. And Raze right now is bullying the members of Chiefs at their tower as Bard plays the mini game of collecting all those chimes.
Yeah, also running Omni Stone here. As you can see, he's got Summon Airy currently on him, so not going for any of the conventional Bard runes. You know, usually Guardian in a competitive game, you could go Electrocute, but yeah, he's gone for the Omni Stone, something that I would say is a solo queue possibility. It has seen some play very minimally in competitive games, but I guess Bard's one of those champions that can utilize all of it. I am guilty of playing that myself in solo queue, so play the cards right, and maybe you get some really good opportunities here with things like Predator once you've got your boots and you actually sprint around the Rift.
And that's something that you were quite vocal about in the game prior, right? Is that you want to see these support to be quite active in their ability to influence those side lanes. Well, if Bard is going to be playing those mini games, and especially with the Omni Stone, going to always be someone to consider, as Babbitt will be no doubt looking to do the same. Typically very much active in assisting the mid lane.
And the thing is, this should be expected, right? Like, this is, like, towards the bottom lane point here for Legacy. This is not the first time they've played the champion or the strategy of, you know, roaming around the map playing the Bard. This is, like, not a once-off. This is maybe the third time in 4 games that we've actually seen it from them. And it's been wildly successful. And that's the thing. Like, Chiefs should be hyper aware that this is the case. That's how they want to play this game out. And when you look at the Chiefs' composition, they're pretty hard to kill in any kind of roams or ganks. But first things first, top lane.
Shows his face into this one. Tien has the flash if he needs to use it right now. He's going to have great restraint and hold it, as there is no good threat to secure a kill.
Yeah, the Q missing there from Babbitt. They're not going to be able to find the damage. If that Q had connected, definitely would have been a summoner used by Tien, but nevertheless, he's able to just walk himself out to safety and doesn't even need to teleport to the lane. Actually, both top laners are just going to fresh reset and walk themselves back to top lane. So once again, you think of why are they doing that? Well, the pressure then builds again on the opposite side of the map. You've got 3 teleports from Legacy and 2 from Chiefs. And neither of these teams willing to use those summoners to get back to their lanes just yet.
And taking the greater picture into perspective here, Rusty, it's always quite interesting when you look at these top 2 teams. But let's hold that thought for a second, because we might see an engage take place here by Tally. Puts out a fair bit of damage. But returning to my point, you know, what separates these 2 teams, Legacy and Chiefs, obviously identical in their win rates, very similar in terms of their farming, aggression, and, you know, objective control. But if you look at the damage, you know, Legacy have always been very much, you know, protect the Raze, and he will do a lot more damage. And if you compare it to Katsuri, he is around about 6% higher. But a lot of that is made up by the fact that Babbitt plays a more supporting role, and Croc isn't afraid to play as the carry. And, you know, obviously playing as the Sejuani, not going to be the easiest to carry on, but definitely showing that they are quite flexible in this one.
That's true when you look at the damage, but obviously you can see a lot of action happening in top lane there. Croc looking for the kills and Tien ulting and having to flash away. One of the key differences here, though, that is also a similarity. While their damage is different, they're actively involved in those first blood skimmies. So with both of these junglers, very big early game figureheads for their team to find success. And so when you see these teams clash, it's about how they make that happen. Is Tien in trouble?
He is absolutely in trouble right now, and he just cannot find that final kill. He's already burnt the flash. Now Croc rocks up to the party. Maybe looking to threaten a fight of his own. More so looking to try and hold this wave right now. Babbitt is in quick support, and he burns a second flash as well. The Crocodile Hunter getting it done down under.
Yeah, top is just slaughtering them in top lane right now. This Renekton is proving to be a little bit too much to bear. Lee Sin just comes up to top lane to help clear vision. I mean, that's a really good sign here for Legacy. The fact that he's able to put in the work that he currently is. At the same time, the farm is even. And while there is no flashes available from the top side of the map besides the jungler now with Babip on Legacy's side, the teleport being burned by Tien does mean that Topping gets to choose. Do I want to hold this and influence the bottom side of the map, or do I want to actually match that and continue to win top lane? And it's very clear what he wants to do, as he's just teleported back to top. And Babip starts the Rift Herald.
So continue the tempo in Legacy's favor. Gold is equal, but they've already got themselves And Ocean Drake, there's the knock up into the wall to bully at Croc. Bear in mind, has no flash. He's going to fall on down for a first blood. That's going to be the TP in from Raze as well to secure this objective, which actually does reset as well. The lane swap is complete now.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll still be able to get this objective, presumably uncontested. They didn't see Raze's teleport, so he's in here to make something happen.
Oh, the Ornn ult goes absolutely a miss. And Tien won't be able to do anything in that situation. 2 quick kills now picked up by Legacy. The Herald this time will be taken on down. 10 minutes in, they're finding themselves with a nice little lead.
Yeah, the advantage they get, Skimmy, is in the kills themselves, because right now the bottom lane of Chiefs is still hard pushing for plates. Katsuri is going to be able to absolutely smack this tower down. Korea CK going to be fresh off the reset if he wants to as well. Actually, they're going to both go back to base. They could continue to push bottom if they wanted, but now they're just going to lose, it seems, the entire turret as Babip has the Herald to summon. I guess they value matching the map tempo of their opponents a little bit too much.
Minion wave goes down. Herald is spawned as it comes in. This turret will fall on down as well. It's a lot of gold now being shared amongst these members.
Yeah, a massive advantage really for Legacy overall. You can see the CS difference in bot lane. You know that there's the kill advantage for Topoon as well, and now they've got turret plates on most of the important members of this team. Starting to get some item spikes in there early as well. They really are getting themselves into the driver's seat and building up a gold advantage. You think about the trade the Chiefs made in response. It was 2 plates, I believe, in bottom lane. And then a reset. So they get a fresh reset and they get themselves onto the map, which does give river control on the bottom side. But maybe more plates were available. They chose not to go for.
I suppose, what does this mean, the fact that the duo of Chiefs stayed bot? Well, it's allowed them to get some very deep vision towards Legacy's blue buff, which it looks to be now has been cleared out by Isles as he replaces it with a control ward of his own. But there would have been plenty of vision for them to spot out those potential rotations to continue their victory in that side of the map and to carry on building up CS in their advantage. It's definitely going to be a slower affair now as they realize that item components are nearing completion. The gold, in a way, favoring Raze as he gets the better half of that trade despite the turret plates going down on both ends.
Yeah, pretty small gold advantages in every lane, but it just is persisting and exists everywhere. So item spike timings come in just a little bit faster here from Legacy across the entire map, and that is significant as of this moment. You know, you've got your full jungle item there for Babip on the Lee Sin compared to the components of Croc on the Sejuani. But while we're speaking about Croc on Sejuani, he is just here in the bottom lane hunting for that ultimate to throw out. But a lot of patience there from Legacy. They're not going to step up too close just yet, but this next wave, they are still at risk.
And they have to be careful. Drake is spawning in 15 seconds. Babip in a perfect position to make things happen. 2 crucial ultimates burnt here by Chiefs bot lane to try and make something happen, and it doesn't. They can absolutely not contest this Drake now. Babip knows of it. He will solo this one, it would appear, as the duo can rotate through the map and keep them preoccupied.
Yeah, he's going to start this one off, and you can see the duo of Legacy, like you mentioned. They were standing in the tri-bush, perhaps waiting for someone to come and check. Now, it was the flash used by Raze. So clearly, even though it wasn't on our screens, he managed to dodge out that Sejuani ultimate, if that's what it was. So ultimate's used, just one flash in response, but an objective secured for that one. Raze will be very happy with the outcome of that trade, as he'll also be able to go back after this wave he's just pushed and definitely get himself the completed GLP 800.
An Infernal Rift. More damage is exactly what we want to see here in this finale. Going to be potential for Chiefs to even out if they were able to pick up 4 of those. But Legacy, it's been their game so far for the first 13 minutes in this game. 2 Drakes. And the Herald as well.
How many Infernal Rifts is that, man? We're in bottom.
They absolutely are. A 4-man collapse as they go through the magical journey. Miles is in trouble, however. Forced to burn double summoners to keep Katsuri at bay. Who actually responds with a flash of his own, diving deep underneath that tower to facilitate the play. They're going to disengage again, and this is the frustration of the Bard response to what Karma brings to the table.
That was a lot of ultimates used there by Legacy. They don't get a single kill for it, but they do get themselves at least a bit of pressure. Some platey boys in the bot lane as well. Only 2 plates left on that bot lane outer turret here for the Chiefs, so still be happy with the trade if there's no response. But at the same time, Legacy had money. They actually had the opportunity to reset if they wanted to, and they chose to make that play. So you can feel it's not tension, but there is still some aggression there. They're trying to get everything out of this game that they possibly can, while they feel like they're stronger.
Well, Croc's going to get himself back into this one here by picking up a blue buff. Has been doing a good job in terms of finding a strong CS advantage by clearing more camps than Babip. Items are now getting completed as Blade of the Rune King is now online for Tapoon. And the Moby Predators, as you would see there from Isles, continuing to switch between those runes. Big items coming online. We're yet to see that full blown out team fight. We've seen glimpses of skirmishes primarily in the top side, but when it comes to damage, I start to wonder, right, the later this game goes on, yes, there's a scaling component of the Ornn, but you've got the early game bruisers surely going to be so reliant on extra items to get themselves relevant.
Yeah, looking for those item spikes is definitely the first step before we have fights on the map. Tally also needing to have that ultimate if you're Legacy, looking for those fights. Croc as well being on the Chiefs side, one of the major engage tools. Both of these teams are pretty ult-reliant to hit full team fights if they were going to. But at the same time, those small skirmishes are possible, and I would say those are the small details that favour Legacy just a little bit. As the game progresses, however, one team has the innate advantage of an AD carry. If he's able to survive everything being thrown at him, and there is a lot, Skibby, that could be thrown at Katsuri.
Absolutely.
But he's a very consistent AD carry player. His positioning is usually incredibly solid. If he's able to make it work, then they'll just have that AD carry advantage and be able to perhaps win those team fights. But so far, the chaos of Legacy's draft is possibly good as the kick's on.
The kick is on. The Chiefs decide to show up for this team fight. Double teleports are burnt. Flash to ensure that Croc says freeze as he wants to burn out that jungler. Make it a fight that they can find, and Tien executes. Now it's a 5v4. Down goes the fissure. In comes the bullet time. And Isles forced to run away, but a double kill comes in now. Tien does not miss those. And they find their moment now to get some objective control of their own.
Yeah, the second time in a row here for Legacy that they look for the engage and they actually mess it up a little bit. Think back to that fight in bottom lane. A lot of spells, Lee Sin kicks going wide, not following up the Bard ultimates just as well as they potentially could be. Similar thing happens in that last fight. Babip kicks someone sideways. They're not actually able to do anything, and now Lee Sin kick gone, Bard ultimate gone, and suddenly this fight becomes very difficult to navigate. Croc immediately flashes forwards. He recognizes the weakness in their opponents, and then through the strength of Tien, they are able to win this fight pretty handily. Ornn can't follow up with his ultimate as well, and that's this lights out moment for Legacy. But they're the ones who take the fight. They're the ones looking, they start it, and the Chiefs are the ones who finish it.
Can never discount what Chiefs bring to the table when they are going for those fights. Incredibly strong. That has been their mantra all season long. Legacy have been fantastic at stalling out the games, looking to play those side lanes, get themselves into the later stages of it. They look to try and execute and make a play happen with their early lead. Unable to find it. Whether or not that puts the dampeners on the brakes. Have to keep eyes firmly fixated on where Babip decides to go.
It's very hard to be a Renekton now, with the Aurelia starting to get some kills on the board, and the stronger he becomes, the harder it is to just play League of Legends with someone that has so much mobility and potential all-in threat. Legacy aren't going to be playing around that Renekton, as you can see. They are once again looking in mid lane. Whether they're protecting or they're pushing is to be determined, because Croc always on the hunt to throw that ultimate out if you can find somebody, especially now that he's got the Herald. If Legacy make a single positional error or mistake, he can just summon that and break a turret.
And notice the fact that the third Drake is up, and there's a 2-level discrepancy between these junglers based on the fact that Croc is just finding more action.
Yeah, really. The Sejuani's today, it's very clear to me that that's been one of the better champions of the weekend in the jungle role. It's not just the players, it's the champion itself. Just seems to get through the early jungling with no punish, and then you just start throwing ultimates off cooldown, and they're mostly successful. If it's just a summoner spell, it's still worth it, because your ultimate will be back up before that one. We saw it earlier today in Orders games. Once again, Croc putting on a very strong display here against the Lee Sin, proving what the champion can do.
Chiefs will full Legacy's hand by summoning the Rift Herald now in mid lane. Going to push out that wave and get some nice true damage on towards that turret, which will, if not one shot, definitely do a lot of damage towards it. But that's a nice little Bard ultimate to negate that objective completely. Chiefs now turn their attentions towards the dragon. They're going to start things off here and just rely now on their superior smiting level.
Yeah, looks like we might have a fight here. Eyes on Tally, ult's on.
Ornalt goes in, and Lee Sin is going to pick it up. It doesn't matter if there's a smiting difference, he will get those kills. Bullet time on the back end gets exhausted, so a lot of that damage negated. Tally flashes away on sub health, but Bard, what are you doing, Isles? You're literally smurfing. He's got a triple kill. How does the support pop off like that? And Raze gets the ace. Legacy explode in the best fashion possible.
And what's usually been seen as the Chiefs being the team fighting team of the OPL, Legacy proved that they are just as capable and they're able to come out with a team fight victory. Yes, it was a triple kill for Bard, but Raze puts in a ridiculous amount of work. And if we get the replay, you'll be able to see that as well, because Isles just cherry-picked a bunch of kills. So just keep that in mind. You'll see the fight here. The smite starts off and Babib's able to get that one done as the Sejuani was kicked out of the pit. And now watch Raze, just on the bottom in the Dragon pit. He goes forwards, ult, and just stuns up both of them. And it's a simple Q for Bard for 2 of those kills. And that was 2 of the 3. Legacy, fantastic team fighting prowess in response to their opponents, as Raze is able to finish this one off with the ace.
What a turnaround after Chiefs looking like they had the ace up their sleeve, able to push through mid, burn out the Bard ultimate, and take a fight convincingly. Moments before, get their first ace in this game, and that really swings the hammer back towards Legacy again, giving them a 4k gold lead and soul point as well. Legacy really rising to this occasion.
Raze is just a freak to me, man, in all of the right ways. Like, he's just so good at mage champions. For an AD carry player, it is just baffling to watch him play to such a high level. That was not only a fantastic Syndra performance, Tally with a massive 3-man knock-up in that fight. You've got Babib with his expertise to kick the Sejuani out of the pit, and then Isles picking up 3 of those kills, you know. Legacy proving their dominance on their champions is once again fighting.
They are so versatile on so many different aspects of this game. They're going to cherry-pick a kill on TN, caught in the wrong side of the map. Rotations quicker here for Legacy, as they can now look to execute this advantage by pushing it down. They can look to try and get some structures.
Right. Give them the advantage and watch how this game gets significantly harder to play. You know, before the Chiefs were able to be defiant, able to actually fight back against Legacy, but now they've actually got that Bard opened up into side lanes. They are able to hunt.
That's going to be the ultimates coming on through here in mid lane right now. Tally just picks out Katsuri. Big component of DPS lost now. Mim is forced to disengage away. That's all they need. That's all they want. But it's a knock-up again here coming out of Tally. And the CC train comes choo-chooing in. They pick it up again. They pick up the jungler of all things. And whilst their original attempt may have been to get the mid-structure, now it's most definitely to pick up the Baron for free.
There was one teamfight victory in this game for the Chiefs, and that was the first moment that you're like, maybe they have what it takes. And from that moment, Legacy, with the advantage that they find afterwards, just don't slow down. They've got the lead. Now they start the Baron. 9,000 health remaining on that objective. Career CK obviously knows that it's being done, but there's no jungler. He is dead. I don't know if they'll be able to stop this one, but they're going to give it a go.
They are going to look to try and make things happen. What ultimates do they have online? They'll have a bullet time with Katsuri on his way. He may just be able to make this one in time. The Baron down to 1,500 health. He's going to look to open things up here, but Lee Sin does not miss those. Babib connects, and he takes a kill with him as well. Syndra's going to connect too. Raze is getting it done. The versatile, perfect player that he is coined as, making it look so damn easy when he flexes on multiple different roles.
Toppin will be able to get himself out, that's okay. If this game ends like this, if Legacy are able to just keep this momentum going and absolutely steamroll the rest of this game against the Chiefs, that is absolutely just putting a stamp on it and saying we are the #1 team in this entire league coming into playoffs. And you have to look out for us. They've adapted so quickly to Tally joining the roster. A man with a lot of experience, obviously, is able to make that work. You see what happens around this Baron. A nice little smite secure there from Babib to lock that one down. And Isles hits a fantastic stun and that's it for Legacy. They get the kills as well as the objective, and now they are poised to just finish this game off.
That they are. Tally is absolutely huge right now. He's level 14, so he's starting to upgrade those items for his teammates as well, bear in mind. That's what's going to come online as he's split pushing right now, making it a 4-1 split. We've seen this all day long with the Baron buff. Present multiple threats at different angles. Makes it so damn hard here for TN to even contest.
And it's interesting because it did feel like Legacy were the ones taking most of these fights. They were the initiators, they were the engagers of a lot of the situations, and they were the ones making mistakes when Chiefs were winning those fights. Now Legacy shape up, and it just seems like they are going to be in absolute control of the game when they really work out those issues that they were having. As in mid lane,
well, Croc tried to make things happen. They're going to go all on towards Raze, who flashes away, and Bard smurfs with the ultimate to lock him in place to provide him with some protection. That's going to be a massive ultimate by Aurelia to lock members in place, but it doesn't matter because the Tally flank comes online. The Bruisers do the damage. They pick up a triple, and Claire flashes forward to try and disengage, but it doesn't mean anything. Tally is a monster. He is the leading starlight of this roster right now. They are looking for back-to-back aces as they are breaking into the Nexus. They're breaking through this base. And Rusty, we might see a 25-minute demolition.
yeah, that absolutely looks like it's going to be game here, Skimmy. The Legacy roster have absolutely slaughtered the Chiefs in this game. All that's left is to put a bow on it, and they are your #1 team in the regular split.
Legacy take the head-to-heads. They will go into playoffs as the first seeds, and they did it with such conviction, such strength, to showcase that they are the ones that everyone should be keeping an eye on.
And I think it's absolutely fair to say that that game was in part decided through the draft. I really liked what Legacy built for themselves, and that the reason for that is not only was it a good comp overall, maybe lacking at 80 carry as the game went on, but still a whole lot of physical damage from their top side. They had very strong individual prowess on the champions that they picked as well. And that mastery shone through in this game against their competitors in the league. One of the other top 2 teams, they still outshone them individually.
Well, for the final time tonight, let's welcome back in Spawn. Let's get him in here for his final thoughts, his feelings on that game especially. Mate, you were in chat. I saw you popping off. What an absolute quote-unquote shellacking, as you would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm kind of with Rusty. I really was in love with Legacy's comp. I think that they baited the Chiefs in. When you see Ornn and Syndra, you assume that's going to be top lane Ornn, mid lane Syndra, and therefore the Aurelia pickup. And then obviously you get a counter pick for Top Poon, who at the moment for me is just probably the MVP of the season. He's shown so many different styles, and he's able to carry, he's able to support, he's able to play strong side, weak side. He just really is a complete player. And Legacy just continue to grow strength to strength, and I think that's a speed hump that the Chiefs are going to have to look at if they want to be the title holders at the end of the split.
Yeah, and that draft creativity is a big thing for me, Spawn, because bringing a player like Tally into the mix it's something that diversified their draft in some very unique ways, and I think they've just learned their mastery over that, especially when you've got someone like Raze who can play those mages and mix things in.
I mean, Jimmy plays everything, right? And when you've got 2 players like Jimmy and Quinn that just play absolutely everything in the game of League of Legends, and they're both big fans of the game, so you know that they're practiced on a lot of champions as well. It gives you a lot of draft flexibility, and Jensen has shown multiple times that he's willing to put them on early game, late game, anything in between. And I think this comp was an in-between comp. It had very clear bridges in the Syndra and in the Bard, as well as the Lee Sin jungle. So, I mean, credit to Jensen. He's got his team another good draft, and he's got them the top seed in the OPL. And I think that with that, guys, I mean, that's all of our games of League of Legends done for the regular season split. Not sure whether we're ready to bring up the standings just yet. But, Rusty, the more we watch OPL, the more everyone beats everyone and Chiefs and Legacy at the top of the table.
Yeah, we're bringing it back, kicking it old school, Spawn. Once again, it seems like we are once again at that point where Legacy and Chiefs reign supreme over everyone else. And it's just kind of funny because at the same time, it is the Direwolves being third as the split ended. And the one wildcard edition was you guys in order, actually kicking it up in 4th.
So let me ask you the question then, both of you guys. Skimmy, I'll start with you. If Legacy or Chiefs don't win the split right now, is it Direwolves as you got as that third favourite?
Yeah, absolutely.
really.
Rusty, what are your thoughts?
I think Order is currently the third best team based off this week's performances. I'm very hard pressed to support Direwolves being the third best team if they perform like they did in the OPL games. There was 3 games from them, right? I think sample size has been large enough to say that maybe it was an off week, but Order looked cleaner.
And if you were going to look at the top 2, is that game alone enough to say that there is daylight between Legacy and Chiefs, or do you just think it was comp, it was on the day, and that these two teams are really close together?
Daylight's hard to say, right? I think that if Chiefs had a more winning draft against the likes of Legacy, then I think we have a much more even game. Like you already saw in that game alone that Chiefs are able to produce something out of nothing and still be able to comfortably win those team fights if it goes their way. So I don't think that there's too much of a separation, particularly when you start getting into a best of series, right? And draft has to be adapted.
I definitely feel like there's a stable level between the likes of Legacy and Chiefs. I feel like there is a little bit of a gap, like a little bit of a buffer between them and Direwolves. I feel like there's also, once again, a buffer between them and the likes of Order and Avant as well. I feel like there's such an interesting dynamic in this top 5 section of the league, but I feel that performance alone, whilst very promising, you still got another whole week to prepare on a brand new patch as well, and best of 5 shakes up things completely. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more to come.
Yeah, and I think the new patch is really important to highlight because obviously no regular season game is going to be played on 10.7 at that point. First games that we're going to see is going to be that first best of 5 in the lower bracket. And I think that, when you have a look at how this split has gone so far, it really has been quite topsy-turvy down the bottom of the table. Chiefs and Legacy will finish with 17 and 16 wins respectively. But then you go down and they're like 3 or 4 victories shy of anyone else on the ladder. Everyone else is kind of a jumbled mess below them. So I do think that, there kind of is something to what you're saying there, Skimmy. Any team can beat any team on their day on the correct patch, I feel like, at the moment. If this is a carry top laner patch, maybe Chippies can really bring it back. But guys, we are ready. Let's bring up the standings. Let's see where the OPL regular season will end. It is going to be the boys in green, Legacy at the top of the table, 18 and 3. The Chiefs Esports Club will be second, 17 and 4. Direwolves then have the head-to-head versus Order as they picked up 2 wins earlier in the regular season, 12 and 9. Order joined them at 12 and 9 scoreline, but will be outright 4th due to the fact that they don't have that head-to-head. And the last team in the playoffs by an outright win is going to be Avant Gaming, 8 wins, 13 losses. Unfortunately, the teams missing out on playoffs this split are going to be Pentanet.gg, Gravitas, and Mammoth. We say goodbye to those teams, but so many interesting matchups coming up. And Rusty, of the 3 bottom tier teams, we saw good moments and bad from all of them. What really stood out to you throughout the split?
I think that it's worth highlighting, as it is the last time we'll see them this split, the gradual improvement of a squad like Mammoth. I do actually think that a lot of credit needs to be owed to those guys. They hit, week 4 odd in the split, and they had the epiphany themselves. They're like, we need to take this really seriously from now on, and you actually saw that marked improvement. And I cannot stress how impressive that actually is from those guys to be able to do that so consistently and have that self-realization, that this is what we need to do.
And see whether they can carry that through to split number 2, guys. We do have the playoff bracket ready. We bring it up on your screen right now. As you can see, match A is going to be the Chiefs Esports Club taking on old foes in the Direwolves. Match B is going to be Order versus Avant Gaming. Winners will advance through. You can see Legacy is going to be waiting for the winner of Chiefs versus Direwolves for their match. Of course, it is double bracketed here, so the Chiefs, Direwolves, and Legacy will all have a second chance opportunity because Order and Avant Gaming are starting in the lower bracket. They only have a single shot. Of course, all of that is making their way towards the grand final. All matches are best of 5. Guys, which is the matchup you're looking forward to the most?
Skibby?
I feel like Order Avant has to be the absolute banger, right? Because you've got so much tension. The fact that it is that best of 5 with no other lives, you've got to put everything to the wall. And, Avant have come into this week with a shake-up. And whether or not that continues, I mean, we've seen some teams shake up their rosters and really show so much grace and strength as a result. Whether or not that grace, that honeymoon period, if you will, continues is what we look forward to. But, Order on a 5-win streak right now, looking really, really strong and really fun in their mojo.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting match to watch. I actually think both are very interesting matches here for different reasons. Like, Order, will that form check continue into the playoffs, and Direwolves, will the opposite happen, and
will they really find themselves again? Because, you know, both teams on the top of the bracket have 2 chances. So they really want to find their form as fast as they can, but they do have that forgiveness to work it out through the best of.
Yeah, and I personally was really impressed with how Appy was able to transition into that top lane. So I'm with Skimmy. I want to see Avant Gaming play again. And this is what the matchups will look like, guys. As we bring the schedule for next week's games up onto your screen, you can see that first game is going to be Audit versus Avant Gaming, 4th versus 5th seed. That's going to be Friday, the 10th of April at 4 p.m. Then we have the next game coming up. It's going to be the Chiefs Esports Club taking on the Direwolves. There is so much OPL action to be had. You're not going to want to miss it. Best of 5s are a whole different kettle of fish, and I'm really excited to see which one of these teams rises to the occasion on the next patch. However, guys, I think that is all the League of Legends action we have for you today. Thank you so much for your patience. It really has been the slog. Gentlemen, technical difficulties aside, a very fun OPL regular split 1.
We did it. We absolutely did it. I've been welcomed into the mix of things, and hopefully the cloud has been my saving grace here in this situation, so I don't get benched another play-by-play caster.
We couldn't find another one if we tried. We tried for 2 years, and you're the best we got, so I think you'll be sticking around. However, guys, I think that is all we have for you. On behalf of myself, Rusty, Skimmy, the entire production crew, and Nick Boy, wherever you are, we miss you, our friend. Please come back safely soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and we'll see you next week for the OPL playoff action.
強く強く輝いて消えた長い